baby. It is good to be back. Good to be back, my friends. Woof. I'll tell you what. I mean, most of us never left, right? Most of the people watching a stream like this never left. You were still playing. You were still going to locals. You were still supporting your local stores. Still buying cards. But man, there is nothing like an official competitive season back, my friends. Just nothing like it. Nothing like it. I had the pleasure of flying down on a shitty Spirit Air flight and actually landing safely. I mean, I know. To Florida, flying into Orlando, Florida, and waiting for my rental car, which was literally longer than my flight. That's not even a joke. Not counting, takeoff and landing, the air travel time from Pittsburgh to Florida is about an hour and a half. And then you tack on 30 for taxi, takeoff, landing, taxi, stuff like that. But actual flight time is a little over an hour and a half, Pittsburgh to Orlando. And I waited in the rental car line for an hour and 40 minutes. Oof. I hate Orlando's airport. Anyway. Safe flight, get the rental car, go to the hotel. I get there Friday night for the Materia Cup, baby, on Saturday. The Materia Cup, the first one in North America. Now, overseas in Europe and in Australia, they had already started kicking off theirs. We were getting ready for our first one to kick off the season here in NA. Man, couldn't have been more excited. Then I got to my hotel. That hotel was sketchy as fuck. I got out. I got out safely. It was sketchy. It was a sketchy ass hotel. So Friday night I land. I get the rental car. I'd hoped to be, based on when my flight landed, I said, I may be able to stop by the Haven Games. Say hi to James Lockwood and anybody else who happens to be there the night before. Maybe get a couple of friendlies. I'll probably be there based on when my flight lands. Give me 45 minutes or so to get the rental car, half an hour to drive north to Castleberry. I should be there around 8, right? Nah, I didn't roll out into that bitch till like 9:30, 9:45. Go to the hotel, stop, and head on over to the Haven Games. Now, I'd never been at the Haven Games, the store proper, right, since Lockwood and Co. were opened the actual storefront. I'd never been there. I think he's been there, just celebrated 1 year. But had never been there because we had no competitive season for the last 2 years. What a good time. So first off, about the event itself, like the event proper, as a whole, it was chef's kiss. Does that mean it didn't have problems? No. I'm sure there's one or two that Chad will want to talk about, and I'll answer any questions as best I can on those. But damn, just what a great event, right? Square Enix, kudos. Rochelle and team, just fucking kudos there too. Just absolutely nailed it when it comes to hosting and getting the season kicked off in the right way. Rochelle and team, they nailed it, right? Say what you will about wanting more events and stuff. We all want more events and everything like that. But if that's not going to happen, this was the way to kick off an event. And huge kudos and thanks go to a couple people. And I don't want to leave anybody out here. So I'm very nervous about actually giving names because so many people had hands in this, from Rochelle all the way down. But I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the actual staff of Haven Games, right? James Lockwood. I didn't get a chance to see Kayla, but I did extend my love to her through James. So it's just awesome to hang out with James. James and I have known each other online for years at this point, but it was nice to chill in person with James. the other owner, Matthew Heffelfinger. I mean, just a fantastic event hosted by the store there. And then Jason Toro and all the work Jason was doing with like assistant judging and pairing and just keeping it bam, 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 bam going. That whole team was just spectacular. And then, Chris McKinney, right, kind of head judging the entire event. Fantastic. Chris was actually there when I got in Friday. So again, Chris is somebody that I've known of online. Like James and I interact online a lot. But I've known of Chris online, but I've never had a lot of interaction. Chris was like, I left with a new best friend, right? Like Chris McKinney was just fantastic. He was there Friday night. We threw down some friendlies. We were both playing stupid shit. And just like seeing how far we could go and take it. Like I dropped Stooges on him, and he was just like, I don't know what to do, and then he turned around and shellacked me with something equally stupid. Like back and forth. It was just a good time Friday night, getting to know Chris McKinney, who much love, just so much love for that guy. AJ Brown, Evan Herndon, like just it was so great. It was so great to be at an event again, and then one that was just run the way it was. The entire crew was an absolute pleasure. That's very nice. Lockwood with the subprime. Oh, here, let's give him the disco lights behind me. The disco lights behind me. You had no idea I would be there, Emo. There were a couple people that said the same thing. Like, I didn't know you were coming. I didn't know you were coming. Because normally the Pittsburgh crew, we roll anywhere for like big events like this. We kind of roll anywhere from 4 to 8 deep. I was the only Pittsburgh person that was able to make it to this one. So it was like, there were many times where I'm like sitting in the corner with my backpack, just like, everybody I personally know is in a match right now. So I guess I'll check out the games on this shelf. So I was the only Pittsburgh person able to attend this one. And it was just amazing, And Emo, of course, always good to see you and co. And then, Saturday rolls around, and you're just watching, right? People come in. Event's going to fire at 11. So people start showing up 9 a.m. to 11 to register and get their badges. And I got my fun. You can see my badge right there, hanging on the shelf. Boop. Right there. And then you're like, okay, who's all coming to this? Because, there's going to be the mainstays, the heads you're used to seeing there. But, like, how deep are those teams going to roll into this joint, right? How many from the Light are coming? How many from Gamers Command are coming? How many from RVA returners are going to be there? Like, all these cats all over the country that I've met through this game, how many of them are actually going to be here on the East Coast in Florida for this first event? 99 participants. It was fully booked and registered. Obviously, a couple of people just couldn't make it or whatever. So we ended up at 99 people. 99 heads. And that room, my friends, was fucking stacked when it comes to NA players. Yeah, I didn't see Colin there, yeah. That room was stacked when it comes to who's who in North America Final Fantasy TCG. Here comes Okimoto, obviously, like Okimoto, right? He's definitely going to be there. But how many? Greg Cole comes in, give him a big hug. Like, absolutely love him. And we're talking about and going through some stuff up here about opening a local store here now that while I coordinate with 4 different local stores on FFTCG, so everybody gets a piece of the pie, my personal 5 minutes away local store, they have since retired. So we've been spending about the last 6 months prepping and LLCing and all that fun stuff. And so as soon as I told this to Greg, I was just like getting all kinds of advice, right? As soon as I told this to Lockwood, just getting all kind of advice. I'll help you. Like, these weren't dudes that were like, oh, great, here's another MFer that's going to be selling shit online that I'm going to have to. No, they were just like, what do you need, bro? What do you need? What advice do you need? What help do you need? What thoughts do you? I mean, it's just Fantastic people. Anyway, so people start rolling in, and it's stacked. Here comes Okamoto and the Light with Greg Cole, and here comes Sam Prime and the rest of Gamers Command, and Kelly from the Light, and if you Kelly Thatcher, and then like you have the RVA returners roll in, and I get to give a big hug with Snugsy and Chris Adams. I mean, just Chris Adams is somebody I've played against multiple times, and it's always just a freaking pleasure to play against. This room was stacked, bros. Absolutely stacked. I'm looking at this room and I'm like, well, 2 and 5 it is. Like, just you go to a 100 event and you're like, okay, there's probably going to be some people here that maybe just learning the game and the store's local to them, and and said, hey, sure, why not? I'll do it. And you're like, okay, probably having a leg up over them. I consider myself a slightly above average player. Like, I don't put myself in the World's League or anything, but I consider myself slightly above average. And I'm looking at this room, and I'm like, this is stacked, man. This is going to be a tough room as far as competing with within NA goes. And it was. It was just good to see, man. And it felt so good. So here is the deck that I personally ran, and I'll talk to you about its creation and some thoughts. Let me move that. Unfortunately, my oh-so-creative deck naming did not get to be displayed in the top 16. Spoiler alert. But I thought it was freaking clever. Sometimes I just tell jokes that amuse myself. They're just for me. Don't care if you find them funny. I do. They're for me. So I thought it would only be appropriate. I'm holding out for a Nero till the morning light was an appropriate deck name. So it was an Earth Ice Control discard. Ironically, and I obviously didn't know this going into it, it's what ended up topping the match, this type of deck. Obviously not exactly the same. Okamoto won the entire thing with an Earth Ice control deck, doing the whole Rydia, Unalesca, discarding Nero, Weiss, Dull Freezing thing. We'll talk about the deck itself proper. He ran a slightly different package than I did. And afterwards, after everything was all said and done, I said, hey, Oki, I'd like to sit down and talk to you and pick your brain, because in testing, I noticed you picked a couple different monsters than I did, and a couple different things here and there. Obviously, I don't expect him to sync up with me before a big event and to say, hey, what do you think? He's running with his crew, testing and doing their thing like they do. But he was very, very gracious and was like, yeah, just hit me up. Hit me up. We'll talk about it. It was nice to see for me, I thought, because it meant I read the room correctly. Or at least forecasted what I expected to see. I expected going into the event to see some 13s, but probably not as many as had been released in like the Japanese tournament right before the Materia Cup, where it was like 45 decks and something like 12 or 14 of them were variants of the 13 starter aggro deck. I expected it to be there, but I didn't expect it to be there that heavy, and it wasn't. I did expect less wind and wind X, wind ice, stormy type stuff. I expected those to be there, but less than previous tournaments for fear of the 13 deck. And so I thought going into this with a little more control, even though I'm generally not a fan of discard mentality myself, I figured this is probably going to be nice and stable. Right, and that's what I was looking for. I'm obviously not favored in wind matchups or wind ice matchups. Wind ice particularly is a little rough. I can win it, but a couple of things have to happen. But I have multiple board clears for the 13. I have multiple board clears for Soiree, which I anticipated was going to be there quite a bit. That was more based on Octagon. I was drilling the shit out of Octagon for 2 weeks before this tournament, just trying to see all kinds of decks, right? Because your locals, we all get in comfort zones, and okay, I know Creon's going to be running something like this, And so this was my mentality. Credit, by the way, to Corey Kunkel in Pittsburgh, Creon in Pittsburgh, and John Klimas in Pittsburgh, all three of which kind of helped me with the concept of like the last X slots, right? I will say that there's one difference from what you're seeing on the screen here versus what I actually ran. I did not run Mandragora at Materia Cup. I ran a second 3-drop Hecaton instead. So this has just been a 1-card change that I've put in since. I don't know if I'll run this at other events or not. Probably not. I enjoyed it. It was fine, but I also like to. It's not my favorite deck style with the discard, and I want to play some other stuff. So even if that means never qualifying for Nats, then that's what it means. I'd rather have fun playing, and I did have fun with this. It's got some creative lines of play. So 1-card difference in what I actually ran, but credit to John Klimas, Creon, and Creon Smolnik, and Corey Kunkel, who I kept batting. What about this? Like, I don't know if I like initially I didn't like Arcanist. I could see the value in Arcanist. There was no doubt, particularly against Soiree, being able to call out 4 and then basically nothing in that deck can attack. It's not that I didn't see the value. I certainly did. But I also was more of the thought of, well, if I'm in that position, I'm not getting them out of the way. They're still there. And just because they couldn't swing doesn't mean that I don't have to deal with them still. So does Arcanist really give me the value that I'm looking for? It provides value, no doubt. But does it give me the value that I'm looking for? If I can stop you from attacking, great. But if at the same time it leaves everybody up and I can't attack into you, I've stalemated. And yeah, that's going to work in some matchups, going up against mono water and particularly calling 3s, because you're just going to play something like this to deck out. Great. But anyway, I ended up obviously keeping Arcanist in here, and it was a good thing. It was a good thing. So credit to those guys for being like my sounding board off of all kinds of different... should we change this? Should we add this? Should we change this? Mine is a little more forward focused than Oki's. And it does have a different selection of forwards. And we'll go into them when we're talking about matchups. But like, I know he ran the 4-drop Light Titus. That was in here. I honestly felt like in my testing leading up to the event that it was... when you played it, it felt great, but there were times that it just got stuck in your hand and could actually prohibit you from making a different play that you should make at that time just because you were simply minus 2 CP. Typical light card stuff, right? It happens. So this is what we ran. The whole point of the deck, if you're not familiar with it, it wants to keep your opponent's hand size low, and more importantly, when it's pushing to make the hand size low, you're getting a bunch of plus perks. So if you can make somebody discard and Weiss is on the board, you're getting a dull freeze of a character. If you're getting a Biblos on the board when that happens, you're getting a dull freeze of a forward. Krista is helping with that discard, but then you've got... So I ran Krista in the event itself. In testing, I was running, what is a YKT whatever, the forward that breaks if they have 1 card. I kind of valued the 8K forward a little more than the Scry. Scry definitely useful on YKT, but in testing, I kind of valued the hidden 8K forward that they couldn't really target until after the fact a little more. So I ended up running with Krista at the event. So yes, it is playing discard in things like Unalesca, Orphan, Weiss if you have Nero, which, by the way, for those of you that have never played against something like this, by the way, if you're going to Amat, you probably don't want to do it on Weiss's discard. Weiss's discard is actually an ability from Nero, not from Weiss. So you don't get the kill of Weiss if you Amat this discard. Just a little note, caught a couple of people by surprise when they tried to Amat it. I said, sure, okay, you don't discard. Thanks for getting that Amat and usually one other card out of your hand to cast the Amat. And then you still have board state. Orphan is in there. That can trigger a little discard. Mostly, Orphan is in there not for its discard, although you may get lucky and get a few. But for its dull off of the other discards, again, going for the plus action on top of a discard. And then also, it's just huge Amat bait. Huge Amat bait. So, like, anytime I was like, they definitely got an Amat. What do I want to do? All right, I'm going to sink 5 CP into an Orphan, force the Amat out of their hand at this point, and then go into my next play. And that may not seem like super value to many of you. You're spending 5 to have them spend 3 and get rid of it. But yeah, in most cases, it ended up being I spend 5 CP to have you discard 2 to 3. And by the way, one of them has to be an Amat. Is kind of the way I looked at it. And it did come in handy. The whole Rydia package is just bonkers, by the way. The whole Rydia package is just bonkers. There wasn't a single time where I played Rydia, even as early as my second turn, and just didn't feel fantastic about it. Just absolutely fantastic. And even the games where I didn't see Unalesca or Rydia, Rydia usually finding me Unalesca if I didn't already have Unalesca, and then grabbing whatever summon I feel like I need at the most. Am I staring down an aggressive thing? Cool, I'll grab Unalesca and Hecaton. Am I staring down a Soiree deck? Okay, fine, I'll go grab Unalesca and Mist Dragon, and now I'm going to make them think about when they really want to play that Madame Adele. It was just so nutty. So nutty. But the best part about this for me, Unalesca is a huge discard engine, and then you're using cards like Robel Akbel to recur the cards. So it just gets in this loop where you're like, yeah, discard this Knight backup, Dull Unalesca, discard a card, get a Dull Freeze, maybe get 2 of them, maybe get another Dull on top of it if you have Orphan out at the same time. Fine. I basically spent 3 CP, dulling Unalesca and getting rid of a card to force 2 CP out of your hand and get at least 1 Dull Freeze of a forward or a character out of the deal, too. That feels like a really strong 3 CP summon, right? Yeah. If Shiva was 3 CP and said, discard a card, Dull Freeze any character, you'd be all over it. And that's the way it felt here. By the way, if you don't do something about Robel right now, next turn I'm going to take that Knight back and I'm going to do the whole thing all over again. The key, though, for me was that even in the games I didn't see Rydia or Unalesca, I was in them. I was in the games. Not fighting tooth and nail to stay in the games. The deck had remarkable resiliency as far as being able to stay in a game, even if you didn't fully get a discard engine going, even if it was just the occasional discard off of Weiss entry or the occasional discard off of an Orphan that survived into its attack phase. White Tiger, let's see, Nimbus was ballin'. I do recognize the argument for maybe not having White Tiger, but it just felt, it fit with the package so well. 3 CP, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to get a Dull Freeze of a character. By the way, Preesh, when they come in, is going to get a Dull Freeze of a forward and a backup. Lark is going to bring me back my Biblos, bring me a Scale Toad nice and early to the game, give you a surprise Krista that gets that last card out of your hand that you were trying to save to hit Orphan with an Amat as I went into combat. Robel for recovery, Weiss, Physalis, Orphan, and Kefka was kind of like the one of, if I don't have anything that I can do, at least I can throw down a 9K body in front of the Cat 13 deck if I see it and I don't have access to Shantoto or 5-drop Hecaton pretty quickly. At least I can just chuck out Kefka, get a block, and maybe cast a summon, I don't run any ice summons, and that might seem weird, right? Because if I play Rydia and I'm out of Unalesca, or I don't want to grab Unalesca for whatever reason, then I don't have a summon to grab. If I play Rydia and end up having to just thin my deck of a second Rydia, I'm only getting that Rydia because I don't have a summon of a different element. So this is one of the things I saw in Oki's deck where he does run one ice summon. I think it was a Shiva. I may do that. I don't know which one I would go with yet, but I can definitely see the value. I just don't know what I would take out for it yet. So let's talk about my matchups for, I'm holding out for Nero till the morning light. And you'll have to excuse me for not looking directly at the camera for some of this. And if you have questions, by all means, let me know. But I got my notes on the other monitor here. Okay. Matchup 1, I get paired up against Sergio Garcia, somebody I've met through the RVA returners a couple of times throughout the years. Nice guy. Like, I don't interact with him a lot, but always been very pleasant and kind of quiet. We just sit there, do our thing, and then the match is over. Turn 1, he drops an Arcanist, and so I'm like, shit, I flew hundreds of miles to be on the mirror match in round 1. Unreal. And I'm sure he felt the exact same when he passed to me, and I played Unalesca and Arcanist. It was just like, here we go. Round 1, Materia Cup, first time out. Here we go. Mirror match. Fan-frickin-tastic. The mirror match, by the way, for me, in my brain, kind of boils down to, A, who sets up first. If somebody sets up substantially faster, not crazy faster, but substantially faster than the other one, they're probably going to win. If they can get their Unalesca Rydia going before you can get yours going, and they get at least a Byblos out with it to keep your early forwards down, you're going to have a little bit of a hard time with that matchup. There's also, though, if you get set up early, great. But if you can't stay set up in the mirror match, because you do see here there are backup destruction tools in the deck, if you can't stay set up, you're going to lose. And that's important later. So Sergio and I, it was a really good match. It was back and forth. It got to the point where I think he was just trying to stall me because I did get very low in cards in my deck. I think when I won this game, I ended up going 1-0 to start things off. I think I had like 6 cards left in my deck. What the real difference was here is, like, I got my discard stuff online. Sergio got his discard stuff online. We were just beating up on each other with the decks the way they're supposed to. Arcanist was the difference in this matchup. Not that I was running it and he wasn't. We were both running it. My forwards had a greater spread of their costs than his, which meant I've got 3s, 4s, and 5s, plus I've got 2s and 3s in Byblos and Krista. And so hey, what's up, Super Genie? Gifting a sub. Who picked it up? Jeremy picked it up. Hey, disco lights for you, Super Genie. Thank you so much. Much obliged. You got some disco lights behind me. So Arcanist was the... Oh, Genji. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just glanced. So sorry, Super Genji. My apologies. Forgive. The problem for Sergio came in that he had to use his Arcanist to keep my Byblos. Initially, he was trying to keep my Byblos at bay so that he could keep cards in his hand because I was at damage 3, and so was he. So Byblos is online. The problem became the spread of my forward costs. Because while I was able to continue to just use Arcanist and call out 2, and keep Byblos from swinging, thus retaining cards in my hand, there came a point where Sergio was not able to do that anymore. Because if he called out 2 with Arcanist, he was going to get slapped with 2 damage from 2 3-drops or a 3-drop and 2 4-drops. Like, the damage potential of the forwards outweighed now the controlling of Byblos. And so that was, at that point, it just became a slow ride downhill over a couple of turns. Do 1 damage, swing for 2, and now the game is over. So it came down to the wire, but we managed to sneak out, and we go 1-0, and we're pretty happy about it. We're pretty happy about it. It was a mirror match. Weren't feeling great about that, but we escape the mirror 1-0. What's up, Lil Meepo? How are you? Round 2. Excuse me, I'm going to try to eat some of my dinner, too. Round 2. We draw Ryan frickin' Chen. Somebody had to, right? Obviously, world-class player, right? And I like Ryan a lot. But as soon as I see his name, I'm just like, well, it's been fun. After that 1-0 start, we are not favored to go 2-0. And so Ryan and I sit down and we start. And sure enough, Ryan sets down Arcanist. I'm like, son of a bitch. Ryan is on this type of deck as well. Ice, Earth, Control with some discard in there. And I'm like, okay, I mean, Ryan, super talented player, world's caliber player. But my mind, I'm like, I'm not out of this. I know how to play the mirror match. And there's a portion of the beginning of the mirror match that really doesn't matter as far as skill level goes. Like, can you set up Rydia and Unalesca faster than the other person? That doesn't take skill. What's in your hand? Can you get to Rydia and Unalesca, or Unalesca at least, and maybe a Biblos? So I'm like, okay, yeah, Ryan, world-class player, but I'm still in this. I'm not favored. I know that, but I'm still in this. Let's play. Ryan whooped my ass. Was very polite about it, as Ryan always is. But Ryan whooped my ass. And I don't feel like I was outplayed here. Unfortunately, on my side, Ryan got set up a little earlier than I did, but not too much earlier. We were both very, very mean to each other for a little bit, and neither one of us was able to hold cards. Like, both of us are on like 2 and 3 backups, top decking, just turn after turn. The problem came in a specific turn. I swing for damage. It's Kusith. I don't even remember what he took from the break zone because it really didn't matter. It just gave him that extra 2 CP for the next turn, and that was enough. He Mandragora'd, broke my Rydia, and that was my only Earth backup out at the time. And because he had the extra CP, he was able to play something else. I don't recall what it was. The Rydia was the heartbreaking part for me. And then it was just a slow downhill from there. Him just poking me 1, 1, 1, 1. Because now I've lost the top deck war. When we're both at 3 backups and we both have colors, draw 2, see what happens. A lot is coming down to what you draw. When he busts my Rydia and is able to then also do something else because he had the 2 extra CP, I'm outpaced at this point. And it's too late to be trying to like hold 2 cards in my hand and draw a Rydia and do something else, or he's never going to let me keep those cards. And he didn't. I mean, he played it perfectly from that point on. And so I'm now 1-1, and I'm not feeling great, right? Because, yeah, okay, 7-0 is out. 6-1 is possible, but I've got to go on a 5-game run now. I can't lose. And those are the 2 scores that I've got to get to guarantee me a spot in the top 16. 5-2 will make it, some, but things are not great right now. I have the ability to look at the loss to Ryan and say, okay, Ryan is likely going to do very well here. A high 5-2, but more likely a 6-1, maybe even a 7-0. So my loss isn't bad. I mean, unless Ryan just like draws dead for 4 straight games, my loss is going to come against somebody in the top 16. The problem here is that I wish the loss to Ryan happened in round 3 and not round 2. Because the strength of schedule looks at your wins first and your losses, right? And now, if I win the next 2, round 3 and round 4, that's great, but they're wins against the middle third of the bracket. They're not wins against the top third. So I'm chasing my tail a little bit. I'm by no means out of it. I could still go 5-2 and make it, but I need some help if that's the path I'm going to take. 6-1 is really where I want to be, because then I don't have to worry about any of this. So I leave the matchup 1-1, thinking, okay, the loss probably isn't going to hurt. But now, even if I do win, they're going to be against the middle third of the bracket of players, not the top third, which is where I had started. So, okay. Let's try to go 6-1. Let's try and go 6-1. Round 3, I'm pretty much thinking in my head, it's going to be another freaking mirror match, because I'm 2 for 2 on mirror matches so far. Jason, I'm going to mispronounce this, and I apologize. Kazjowski? I'm so sorry. Jason, I don't know. Just say Super Genji. Is that you? No, you're not Jason. No, you are not. You were not my round 3. Get the hell out of here, Jason. Yes, my smoking buddy. Jason became like the fastest friend I've ever had. We immediately were like, let's go smoke. Yeah, so here it is, Jason. Yeah, I did. I had a nice shirt. Thank you. Yeah, it was Florida. I had to wear my Final Fantasy Hawaiian shirt that has like the Tonberries and Black Mages and stuff. You'll see it at other events, I'm sure. I'm a one-trick pony. So here's Jason's deck. And the way I described it to the Pittsburgh crew in real time was kind of a Fire Lightning Samurai with New Y'shtola mixed in. Got me to 5 damage very quickly. It did. I mean, just looking at it, you can tell it's going to be more aggressive in nature to begin with. It's Fire Lightning. But then you also see exactly where it's going with that aggression with the Zidane and the Yaguri and the Y'shtola, like Squall. You know where this wants to go. Brunhilde and Amat and Salamander. Like, this absolutely wants to wreck you by turn 4 max. And the longer the game goes, the harder it's going to be for this deck to win in most cases. And I'm seriously sweating bullets because I know what I'm looking at and I know how to get out of it. But I'm not drawing it. I'm not drawing it at all. A Yaguri comes out turn 1. Poke. Then we end up seeing an Alba. We end up seeing a Cindy. Like, it is getting messy. And I'm like, I want to go to 3 damage, right? In every game, I want to go to 3 damage. In fact, this Cactuar that is in my deck was a day before the tournament, but before I left. So Thursday night, that's when this card went in there. Because I was getting a little concerned with people putting me on 2 and holding me on 2 until they were ready to swing through with 5 damage to leave Biblos off, right? Or putting me at 4. By that point, they certainly know I'm running Weiss, and they don't want to put me on 5 until they can take me from 4 to lethal. And I teched this Cactuar in also to deal with Yuffie, because I was having a hard time sometimes on Octagon in the lead up to the tournament with Yuffie. More often than not, I beat it. But in those Yuffie matches where I didn't get any discard online early, it was hard to get through those matches. So I teched in 1 Cactuar. The card I replaced, by the way, for those of you that may want to mess with this deck, was Matoya in the backup line. 1 more, board clear, but also a card that had extra utility in its 2 other modes as well. So if you want to mess with it, that's what this card originally was. It was a Matoya. So I teched in this Cactuar. And that served me I think if I'm not mistaken. No, that was a different match. That served me really well. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, so Jason is just punching me in the head. And I'm not seeing Shantoto. I'm not seeing Hecaton. I mean, he's got these little punk forwards, they don't have a lot of power. 4 and 4, but I can't do anything about it. And they keep poking me. Finally, I do see a Shantoto, and I clear the board, but I'm a little worried because normally I don't want to clear the board until I've already gone after the hand a little bit. And I wasn't able to go after the hand here. I'm just trying to set up and save my life. And so he's still holding 3 cards. Now he doesn't have any backups, but it only runs 10. It doesn't need backups to do its job. He can play without him. But him holding 3 cards when I play a 7-drop Shantoto is just scary. Because it's just like, if he ditches his hand right here and one of those 3 cards is an Amat, I'm out. I lose. I'm gone. The key here was that I was able to get out both Weiss with a Nero on board and Shantoto on the same turn. That was the turnaround play. I was at 4 damage. I play Weiss with Nero on board. It forces a discard to put Jason on 2 in hand with no backup. And now, it's an 11 CP play, but now I'm on 1 forward, 1 card in hand, 3 backups to a 2 cards in hand, empty board. I'm still in danger, right? All this takes is a top deck of a Cindy to dull somebody, and I'm in trouble. He doesn't on that next turn. The following turn, though, he Yish-Tolas, and this is really spooky. And so I let him take the damage, and then as he enters combat, I Cactuar the Yish-Tola, which does 2 things. It gets Yish-Tola off the board. He's already taken a point of damage for it, and he gets no value. One of my forwards has 4K damage on it at that point. No value out of the Yish-Tola. And I take a point of damage, putting me on 5. And so now my Weiss is untargetable. And from here, it's just like a slow roll. Just like I got done to me in round 2, Jason from here just really doesn't have a play to come back. Like, even if you get a Cindy, even if you get a Yish-Tola, I can stalemate this game now simply by playing no forwards and just leaving Weiss up. And so the hand size is now gone. There's no backups. Weiss is untargetable. And so I'm sitting at 5 damage and literally just poking 1 every turn. And it puts Jason on a clock. So you have to go cry in a corner. I'm not going to lie, man. My sphincter was puckered that entire match. I was like, I either go in 11 CP and try and clear this and put him at 2 cards in hand, or I think I just lose. So luckily it worked out. And now we're 2-1. We're back on the winning track. Oh, yeah. See, like I even sent to Corey, one of the guys I credited for help with the deck. Corey is the one that the day before I was like, I'm thinking of teching in a Cactuar. I'm sick of people leaving me at 2 or 4. Plus, it'll help with Yuffie, and it'll serve, purposes in other matchups too, I'm sure. And so I did let him know Cactuar was clutch in this win to pop Yish-Tola, put me on 5, and make Weiss untargetable. So then we have the lunch break. It's the lunch break. I go to lunch with a number of the RVA returners. I think who was it? It was Cody was there. Chris Adams was there. Snugsy was there. Jesse Sims was there. We go to Applebee's, and the drinks are just a-flowing. It's round 3. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're buy one, get one. Certain drinks. So, yeah. Lunch was fun. There's a little bit of a scare at lunchtime, though. So keep in mind, I gave credit to the tournament for being just superbly run, and it was. There wasn't a single repairing, which is odd for a Final Fantasy tournament in my experience. Travis was doing commentary, and I know they had some stream problems early in the morning. I think they were doing it on YouTube or something, and it just didn't work, and they ended up going to Twitch later, and it was fine, but then there was no video recording. We'll get to that when we get there. Travis hits me at lunchtime and says, Michael, didn't you beat Sergio in round 1? They're showing standings on the screen, and it says he's 2-0. And I'm like, whoa, what? So I tell the guys, look, I got to go back. This is what I'm hearing. Got to fix it. And as I'm picking up my stuff, I've already paid my tab to leave and go see James and see what's going on. Travis says, oh, never mind. You face Sergio Garcia. And I was like, yeah. And I had been giving updates on who I was playing and everything. And he said, oh, this is Sergio Brave that was 2-0. I'm like, you son of a bitch. I paid for one and I did not get my free drink because I cashed out. So that was a little rough. It burns when IP. That's a great deck name. So then, round 4. And I'm playing Ike. There's another name I'm going to butcher. I'm so sorry, Ike. Ike Keinvicht. Misplay. Yeah, it wasn't a misplay. No, you aren't Ike! Dude! Oh my God, you guys are so fantastic. Let me just give some disco lights for all of you. I absolutely love you. Ike was on an Earth, Fire, Water, Palom, Porum kind of Knights thing, if I remember right. I have it here described as Earth, Fire, Water, Palom, and Porum. But if I remember right, I think you were also running a little bit of a Knights package in there too. Ramza and stuff like that. If I remember right. I think. Maybe. I don't know. So this match, I end up taking this one. So we're 3-1 now at the end of 4. This match, what helped me here was Ike drawing like total balls. We've all been there. We have all been there. Just like no Knights, just the delinquent duos and some lightning. Were you running Neo Exdeath? Is this the match? I think this is the match. Oh no, you're not. The Knights and the Neo Exdeath is my next match. Some lightning to handle all that 13 that I did not see. Yeah, at this point, by the way. Pittsburgh Crew, we're now, 3-1. Well, going into this match, 2-1. And they're like, have you seen any 13? And I'm like, I'm not seeing 13 at my tables. I've got 2 mirror matches under my belt and an aggressive Fire Lightning deck, but no 13. And I'd been looking around. There were remarkably few 13s there. And one of them did pretty well in the first 3 rounds, went like 3-0, and then kind of just cratered from there. But the rest of them were like bottom ended pretty quickly. But there weren't a lot there. So Ike and Palom and Porum, I felt so bad for Ike. We've all been there, right? And the last thing you want is for this to happen at a Materia Cup, or any real big event. Like it's bad enough when it happens at locals, but poor Ike just drew like total balls, right? If I remember right, he drew for his opening hand, mulliganed, put it back, took his new cards, and really had nothing better to do than put out just a Porum or a Palom by itself. Palom Porum on turn 1 is strong. One of them, not so much. And so his colors just came out in goofy ways. Like he'd get caught with, having an Amat and 2 water cards or having a fire forward and 2 water cards in his hand. We steamrolled this match, but not because of any superior high intellect play on my side or holding out of answers. What's up, RB? Literally, we won this match because Ike drew like total balls. Yeah, we were stacked to prey on 13. Yeah. It was total ass. Bad list. It wasn't, your deck construction was fine. Like Palom and Porum is freaking mighty. And you know what? If you get them to 3 counters, I have to Shantoto you. Like that's my only option with what I was running. I have to. And chances are You know that, and you're just holding the Amat, right? Like, if I can't destroy your hand size in time, which is hard to do because 90% of the shit you're running in the deck costs 2, I'm in a bad spot. So, yeah, this was a lucky win on my side because my opponent just drew horribly. Like, Ike had I feel bad for you, Ike. I do feel you. We've all been there. So, after round 4, we're now 3-1. With our only loss to Ryan Chen, who, if I remember right, I had checked, is 4-0. So I'm still feeling good about that loss. I just don't like that it happened in round 2. I wish it would have happened later. So now we're 3-1, and we're headed to round 5. And round 5 is wait. Yeah. Round 5 is against Brendan Tawa. Brendan is one of the nicest people in the world, by the way. I think I've had the pleasure of playing with Brendan before. But just absolutely fantastic. A fantastic player, just a great guy, everything. There were 2 in the room at the Gold Coast Materia Cup. Yeah, there weren't many in this room either. Yeah. It was so funny. Like, all the wind players, there were very few wind, ice, wind X combination players because they were worried about the 13, so they teched against it. 13 players said, hey, you know what? Everybody's going to be teched against it, so I'm going to play something else. And then there's me. I come in and I'm like, I'm going to be moderately teched against both of them and just go for control. So I play Brendan Tawa, who is on one of the more represented decks in the room, and that is Soiree. Here's Kelly Thatcher's deck to give you an idea of what you're going against here. Warrior of Light, an Arc, teched into the Soiree build. This was very, very prevalent. Very prevalent. I'm 3-1. Brendan's very good player. Super nice guy. We had a great conversation while we're playing too. Some good moves back and forth. I am in total control of this match. Total control. Brendan knows it. Like, he's playing and he's just like, like he's drawing for turn. Like, you've been there. We've all been there. I'm in total control of this match. Now it's time to start going for some damage. And here's where we get it. I know there's, like, Travis has his thoughts on X-Bursts, who he's made them well known and everything. And X-Bursts feel really good when they're yours, and they feel horrible and stupidly lucky when they're your opponents. But I play this right up here. I don't have to beat this deck. I can stall this deck out. It does so much searching, so much drawing, and all that stuff that I can just control the board and stall this out. So I don't have to do damage here. But if I can tag a couple of points on, I take a turn or 2 away. And so I assess the situation. Brendan has no cards in hand. It's my turn. I have a couple of attackers. I've got Unileska up. I've got some tricks in my hand. And I'm like, what is the worst thing that can happen when I swing? Well, he could hit an X-Burst. That X-Burst could be an Elvis. The odds aren't good. He already has an Elvis on the field and an Elvis in the break zone, so at most there's only one left. Can I afford to lose one forward to do this? Yes. Okay, so I'm not worried about Elvis. Because if I lose a forward, I'm going to play a new one in my main 2 anyway. So I'm not worried about the missing gap. Cool. Elvis doesn't concern me. Kusith. All right, let's peep that break zone. I can't miss dragging it ahead of time. I don't have it. Let me peep that break zone. Is there anything I'm worried about him taking back? Not particularly. And even if I do hit a Kusith and he takes it back, I still got a Unileska up. And I got plenty of cards in my hand. I'm just going to make him get rid of it if I don't like it. I'm not worried about him taking a forward or a backup. You ain't getting to your next turn with it. Tyro. I see that in chat already. Tyro. Yeah, another one. My mind runs the evaluation, and I'm like, you know what? Go ahead. Go get you a forward. Go get the best forward you think will help you. I'm going to make you discard that thing. Thornton, go get a card. Cool. Better be a summon that you can use right now, and I'm not particularly worried about the summons package in this deck. Vesvia, draw a card. I don't know what it is, but if I'm a little spooked about you taking a card in the next turn, I'm going to Unalesca. So I do all this evaluation, and I'm like, it's fine to attack here, because at the worst case scenario, I'm going to walk into a card, and I'm going to immediately make Brendan ditch it. So I swing. Vesvia. Draw a card. Totally fine, right? I have assessed this situation from top to bottom, and I know what I'm going to do here. I'm not worried. You drew a card. And then here's where my mind fails to reassess the situation. My brain, that had worked wonderfully up until this point, says, Vesvia, drew a card. We're just going to make you discard it anyway. Doesn't matter. Swing again. Tyro. Well, we're committed now. Swing again. Tyro. Well, shit. Now we've got to end this game. Swing the fourth time. Kusith. Keep in mind, I had mapped this out, right? I had totally planned on, you're going to get a card off that first damage. And it could even be a curated card. Had my brain stopped for half a second and said, it was a Vesvia. I don't know what he drew, but now we stop. The situation has changed. One card in hand is totally fine. Any more than that, and it starts giving Brendan decisions, right? On what to discard, because I can't get rid of all 2, 3, or 4, but he'll get to keep whatever's the strongest for the situation. I don't want that. I should just stop at this point. No, my brain totally just went haywire. Had I stopped, by the way, after the Vesvia, I plucked that card out of Brendan's hand, and his next turn, he top decks Tyro. The game's over. Like, the game is over. Had I stopped, he top decks Tyro. You're out. The game is over. Your general rule of thumb, after the first X burst, stop attacking unless for lethal. I'm with you. And it's the way 900 out of 901 times I would have played it. Here, utter brain lapse. So now he's got a Vesvia card draw that I don't know what it is, a Tyro that lets him curate exactly the forward he wants for the situation, a second Tyro that lets him curate yet another forward that he wants for the situation, and a Kusith that lets him curate from his break zone what forward or backup. Now, yeah, I know there are people that, you got to know when to swing. You're absolutely right. I had it all mapped out, and I had it all mapped out correctly, and I was playing the right strategy. The swinging for 2, 3, and 4 in I guess maybe a panicked state was my downfall. I should not have done it. I should have swung the Vesvia, let him draw the card, make him get rid of the card, play a forward, pass turn. He top decks Tyro, and now the game's over. Unfortunately, that's not what happened, and Brendan was able to massively capitalize on this misplay. Not only through getting the cards, but through how he played it out. He does whatever he did on his turn. I get the turn back. Adele is out, and a few soiree members are out. That's it. So I can't swing. I'm not getting through. I can't get his hand down to 0 now at this point. But I do have 2 hecatons, 2 5-drop hecatons in my hand. And so my brilliant idea is I'm going to pass. And I'm going to let him do whatever he wants to do with that big-ass hand. I'm only at 1 or 2 damage. I have multiple forwards. You're not getting through on your next turn. I'm just going to double hecaton this board next time. Next turn. I'm just going to double hecaton it. I'm going to hecaton. That'll get rid of Adele. Put a little damage on some other forwards, not the Soirees, but like he's got the Warrior of Light and stuff like that. And then I'll double hecaton on top of it. It's really my only out at this point. Shantoto's already been played, all that fun stuff. And he can't stop it. Like there's nothing left. We're running low on cards. So I pass back. Brendan plays out Arc, flips 5, takes his own 5-drop hecaton, casts it because now Arc is buffing everything into oblivion on his side of the board, wipes my forwards, and hits me for 5 fucking damage. I never got to... I showed him my hand afterwards. I was like, son of a bitch. That is so close. Because if you can't do it, I'm going to. And I've got 2 monsters socked aside that aren't going to take damage from this hecaton that are going to swing and hit you for 6 and 7. Like, if he can't do it on this turn, the game's over. I've got the double hecatons. I've got the CP. I've got 2 forwards socked and hidden that are going to do damage 6 and 7. And at that point, I don't care what you X-burst, right? Extra cards don't help you. Man, Arc flips 5. The 5th is the frickin' hecaton. He casts it. It wipes my forwards. And he swings 5 straight times for the win. Oh. I misplayed. Brendan made me pay. Made me pay. The worst part about that is like when you're talking to your opponent and they know, they're like, you're in control of this match and there isn't a damn thing I can do about it. And then you misplay like that and they walk it back. Credit, by the way, not taking any credit away from Brendan. Did you get lucky on X-Burst? Yeah, sure. But I fucking put him there, right? Like, I knew full well what I was up against. I made the right calculation. I failed to recalculate. You made me pay for it. 100% kudos to Brendan and that win. Absolutely deserved it. Made me pay for my mistake. Now we're 4-2. We're in real trouble. We're in real trouble. We are in real trouble. That's round 5. Round 6 is against Joseph Vidales. This is the Firewater Knights package. That's right. Looking at my situation, I'm not feeling great now. I'm 3-2. The best I can do is 5-2. My loss to Ryan Chen was in round 2. It'll look great as far as who I lost to. Brendan's doing well. My losses, I'm not worried about my losses. I'm now worried about my wins. My wins in 3 and 4, we're all in the middle bracket together. I'm not in the top bracket anymore. So I'm not winning against top bracket players. I'm winning against my fellow middle bracket players. Rightfully so. I lost to Ryan Chen in round 2. That puts me in the middle bracket. So I'm not feeling great about how high my wins are. And now 6-1 is not a possibility. So now it's like win out and hope for the best is all I can really do. That's literally all I can do. Round 6 was against Joseph Vidales, who was on a Firewater Knights package. This one, I kind of jumped on it right away. I got a little more aggressive with the discard. As soon as a turn 1 Ramza popped or was warped, I was like, this is a matchup that I can afford to get aggressive in. And so I think I 3 backupped on turn 1. Just went bap, bap, bap. And went down to 1 card in hand. 3 backups. Unalesca, a Knight, and a Geomancer, I think. Something like that. Now, if I top deck Rydia, we're just gold, right? We go to 4 backups and still end up with 2 cards in hand or 3 cards, depending on what we do with the Rydia search. Yeah, it's just I'm going bam, and then I'm immediately going to start using Unalesca because I don't want you to have those knights. I want you to discard those knights. Ramza gets warped on their turn 1. I let the warp counter go the next turn. On the attempt to enter the field. On Ramza, I misdragon the break zone. So Ramza now, big body, but no value as far as recovering anything from the break zone. And it was just that was the way of the game. Gawain came down to search 2 things, got 2 things, played 2 things, got Shantoto'd. Like, it was exactly the way I want to play this deck against that deck, right? Force it to splash its forwards, because you made it, you penalized it somewhere, in this case the Mistdragon. So now to make that up, overcommit to a board, sweep up that board, and now Unalesca is not going to let you got to play what you get off the top of the deck, or you're not going to get to hold it. It put the deck in a really bad spot. There was a moment later, even though I was like in control of this match for most of it, there was a moment later that I thought, oh, I might get this wrestled away from me. And that was a handout for a Neo Egg's death, which I did not see coming. And I'm like, oh, shit. How am I going to deal with this thing? Huh. There was also a play that I thought was going to hurt me earlier in the game, but it didn't. Joseph amodded my Rydia. On my second turn, I played, my second turn on the 3 backups, I played Rydia. And Joseph amodded it. And initially I was like, that sucks. I don't get my search because it's all 1 ability, right? No, it wasn't tutored off Sildra. I didn't see it coming, RB. I had no knowledge that it was going to be coming. Initially, I felt bad that my Rydia just got modded, but then when I thought about it, I was like, I'm kind of okay with that. I paid 5 CP, and all I got was a backup. All I got was this lousy backup, right? But if you look at what it did on Joseph's side to Amat that, he had to discard 2 and the Amat. You play versus Joseph every week, and I've seen him Amma a Princess Sarah before. He didn't have a backup up to do the Amat. So Rydia basically read, hi, I'm a 5-drop Theodore. Discard 3, 1 of them has to be an Amat. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of okay with that. I spent 5 CP to have my opponent give up 6 because they had to ditch 3 cards from hand, and 1 of them had to be an Amat, and I still get to keep the backup. So although it stopped the search and kept me off some extra cards for a little bit, I was kind of okay with the way it traded out. Later in that game, when he handed out for a Neo Egg's death, totally caught me unaware. And I don't have a huge board. You're never really running a huge board with this. Most of the time, I'm running on 3 to 4 backups. Most of the time. It's very rare that I let it get to 5 in this deck, because I'd rather just use that 5th knight to discard something from their hand with the Unalesca. So he handed out for the Amat. And I'm like, I don't really know how I'm going to deal with this son of a bitch. I mean, I can try to like party attack into it and stuff, but I certainly don't want to dull freeze this damn thing. So I don't want to make you discard, because then Byblos is going to have to target you being the only forward out. And I don't want to do that. I will do it, but I want to do it on my terms, not, just right now. So I'm trying to figure out how to deal with this. And I top deck Cactuar. The one of that we put in to deal with Euphies and oddball things like that, and to stop my opponents from parking themselves on dealing me 2 damage or 4 damage. And I just modded the Cactuar, or Cactuar the Neo right away on my turn. I was fine. Let's eat this now. And I Cactuared. I purposely only paid 2 elements so that I could take the 5th point of damage, turning Weiss's untargetability on. And I gave up a Nagmalata backup on Neo Egg's Death's ability. From there, it was the end. Like, at that point, That was the end of the game. Neo Egg's death didn't get to do anything besides take a Nagmalata off of me. And in fact, he made my Weiss untargetable and everything. So that was, I got a little more aggressive only because I knew the matchup and knew if I can just make this pay off of a bad break zone target, which I was able to, we're going to be up pretty substantially, and it's going to be hard to crawl back into it. So good match, but we walk away 4-2. Now we just got to go into our final round and then hope for the best. And in round 7, I draw Muhammad Ahmad. Muhammad, my boy. I love that guy. One of the nicest people in the world. Absolutely love that guy. He's a hell of a player. A hell of a player. I've played him multiple times. We end up a room of 99 people, and the two of us end up paired up again. Imagine that. There have been multiple local qualifiers when that was a thing, where Muhammad and I got paired against each other in round 1. Like consecutive local qualifiers. So I'm not all that surprised to see the pairings and see Muhammad's name across from mine. But this is one of the last names in this room I want to see. I'm 4-2. To even have a shot, I got to win, right? 4-3 ain't going to cut it. 5-2s aren't going to make it, I got to make 5-2 to even have an outside shot at this. And I haven't seen the standings yet to know exactly, am I on the high side of the bubble? Am I on the low side of the bubble? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen standings. Now, I do know that they were putting those sheets out. I just didn't know where, wasn't paying attention, didn't know. So Muhammad comes over, sits down. That's my boy. I absolutely love the guy. And I tried to convince him to just fold. I was like, hey, man, we're both 4-2. Why don't you look a little peckish. Why don't you go have dinner? I'll buy. Just tried to convince Muhammad not to play. Muhammad, to his credit, says, I actually don't know the standings. If I saw the standings, I might. So we sit down and we play, and I know this is going to be a hell of a match, right? Like, if I'm going to get 5-2, I got to earn it, right? Muhammad's he's a damn good player. Just damn good player. And in competitive, we've had friendlies too, and I think we kind of split those and do stupid stuff and play goofy decks. But in competitive environment, back-to-back local qualifiers paired against him in round 1, I'm 0-2. So, this is a dude that can readily beat me, right? So I'm going to have to play tight. I know my deck. I know my matchups. Let's do this. And as soon as he starts, it's soiree. So out of 7 matchups, I had 2 mirror matches in Earth Ice. I had 2 soiree matches. I had a Fire Water Knights. I had a Fire Lightning Hasty trying to just jam things down my throat here. And then what was the last one? I don't remember. 2 mirrors. Earth, Water, Palimporum. Right. Fire, Water, Palimporum, whatever. Earth, Fire, Water, Palimporum. So sit down from Muhammad. He's on soiree. And this is probably the best match of the day. Most of the other matches, Ryan Chen just walloped me, right? He had that awesome turn with 2 extra CP, was able to pop my Rydia, and it just put him so far ahead I couldn't catch up. And it's just a slow death from there. While some of my other matches were good and interesting, there were key moments in those matchups where I had won. Because I did this and my opponent did this and I responded this way, the match is over. It's just a matter of time now. So not to take anything away from my opponents, who were all extremely talented, there were moments where it was just like, this is it. You can't win from here. It was not like that in round 7. Muhammad and I punched each other in the face for 30 minutes. Just literally punched each other in the face for 30 minutes. Muhammad's also one of my favorite people to play against in a competitive environment. In a casual environment, we jokey, we have conversation and stuff like that. In a competitive environment, Muhammad and I play the exact same way when given the chance. And that is this. Not a word is spoken. It's just, we both know the game. We both know the other person knows the game. So it's just kind of a glance of response. No? Okay, cool. Like, and just keep going, right? Don't distract the other person. Just go. He's one of my favorite people to play against in that vein. But literally, we punch each other in the face for 30 minutes. This comes down to just a few cards in deck two on both sides. He's a little further into his deck than I am. Just because of the nature of the searching that he's going to do with the Soiree package. I do a little searching with Rydia and stuff like that, but Soiree does far more searching. So there is a thought of, can I stalemate this deck? Do I need to stalemate it? Have we punched each other in the face so hard that my out now is to just put up a wall and let it sit there? I briefly thought about doing it, but there were still too many cards left in his deck. I'm still worried about X-Burst. You know, Brendan Tawa's deck has taught me a valuable lesson on Soirees and X-Bursts. A lesson I already knew and had accounted for correctly, but failed to reevaluate because I'm dumb. And so I'm still a little bit worried about it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, hey, Mohammed, what's up? RB, yeah, Stoic Reverence. It is. Yeah, it's just back and forth, back and forth. That's the benefit, right? When you know the game and you know your opponent knows the game, right? You do whatever you want to do. I'm going to stop you when I want to jump in here. We don't need to sit here and is this okay? Is this okay? Does this resolve? Can I do this? Can I search? Can I? Son of a bitch, just search. If you're not going to be able to search, I will tell you no. Just go. Let's go. We got 30 minutes. This gets right down to the wire. It's like a 4-4, 5-5 game. And I catch him with two forwards in his hand, and I'm able to do things to dull the forwards he has, and I sneak through for the last 2 points of damage. So there is no key magic Mike play moment that gives me the win here. This is just a well-played game on both sides. I wouldn't have been surprised if Muhammad had won. I wasn't surprised that I had won. Like, either one of us does totally deserve to take that win. It was just well played all the way down to the wire. I catch him with two forwards in his hand. Little lucky, right? Because he could have a summon in there that hurts me or something, but he didn't. He had two forwards. Orphan comes down, gets him to discard one. Biblos gets a dull freeze. Orphan gets a dull that puts all three of his forwards down because he had swung with one of them. And now I'm able to sneak a forward in there for 6 and a Biblos in there for 7. So it was just, a down to the wire good game. Now I'm 5-2. I'm 5-2. I'm feeling kind of good. I know I'm probably out, but my losses are to Ryan Chen, who I've now found out is 6-1. It was a great game. I'm glad you felt the same way, my friend. Oh, always good to sit across the table from you. You know that. I have a lot of respect for Muhammad as both a person and a player. I now find out Ryan Chen's 6-1, so I'm feeling good about that loss. I think Brendan Tawa went 5-2, so I'm kind of feeling good about that loss too. It's just that round 3 and 4 win that I'm not quite sure where I was in the bracket when I played those and how well they're helping me or hurting me. So I just kind of have to watch and sit and wait. I'm 5-2. That's the best I could do. One match, I totally lost. The other match, I would argue I beat myself. Again, not to take anything away from Brendan, who masterfully did what he needed to do and capitalized on my misplay. But without that misplay, I think Brendan would even agree it's unlikely that he wins that match. I was just so far ahead at that point. But so now I got to wait. And And they're calling out the names, right? And it's agonizing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course Okamoto made it. Come on. Get down to like 14, 15, 16. Yeah, Sam Prime's in there. Surprise. Yeah, go. We know those people. I want to hear Mike Byrne, 14, something like that. Alas, it was not meant to be. I come in 21st. So I missed the top 16 cup by 5. Am I disappointed? Yeah, of course. But I was only disappointed for about 2 minutes because the event was just so much fun. And it was so good to be back in that event. But, yes, show me the bubble. And they did. But there was also a part of me that went, you went 5-2 after 3 years of no super competitive play. Yeah, we had tournaments here and there. We do our locals and there's prizes and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like competitive play. And you did it in a room that was stacked. You belong here. Like, there was a part of me that was just like, you absolutely belong in this room. You may not win it, but you absolutely belong in this room. 5-2 against top-tier opponents in a stacked tournament and walked out in 21st. And the season's just getting started. I will be at minimum 4 store championships and 1 more Materia Cup. Minimum. So I'll be at store championships in Erie next weekend, in Ohio later in the season, in Michigan later in the season, and in West Virginia at like the tail end of the season. I think it's literally the last store championship. And I will be at the Raleigh Materia Cup. 5-2 in a room full of killers is a great result. You should be proud. Well done. I am. Thank you. You'll see me at Erie in Ohio. Nice. Come up, say hello. Absolutely. Yeah, don't be afraid. Oh, I forgot the best part. How did I forget the best part? Ryan Chen, after he gives me an ass whooping, right? Again, sweet guy. Great guy. The best part, Ryan Chen, very quiet, right? Very quiet. He says, "Are you actually going to Erie, Muhammad? That's quite a haul for you." You're gonna see me at all of them. Okay. All right. I'm not surprised you're going to Erie. I'm not surprised you're going to Ohio or West Virginia. I am surprised you're going to Erie and Michigan. That's a haul for you. Ryan Chen, sweetheart, right? Whoops my ass. Great guy. At the end of the match, he goes, "Are you the guy from Ready Check Radio?" I said, yeah, that's me. And he goes, "I really like your streams." And I said, "Hey, thanks. That means a lot. Thank you so much." He goes, You have a great voice for that type of stuff." And I was like, "This is awesome, dude. This is Ryan frickin' Chen, right?" And he's like, "I think I know you." Like, yes, you do, my friend. So yeah, that was kind of cool too. There were some other people there too that God bless them. Thank you so much. They I make the highest quality content no one watches, but some people in that room watched and recognized me. That's very, very cool. I got asked to sign a card. That's the second time I've gotten asked to sign a card. The first time I got asked to sign a card, I didn't even start Ready Check Radio yet. I had literally just done the how to play videos on my personal YouTube page, which are still like some of the most watched videos on my personal YouTube ever. The first one that they asked me to sign was at a tournament. They had learned how to play the game from those videos, and they wanted me to sign a card, and it was a Cactuar, the pingy damage Cactuar. This time around, it was a Cindy, because they know I'm a lightning baby, right? I was this close to running lightning ice. I'm glad I didn't take it to this tournament. I probably will take it to some of these others, the store championships. But I'm glad I didn't take it to this one because it was prevalent. Ice lightning was really prevalent at this tournament. It was surprising. Some of them made the top cut. It was much more prevalent than I expected it to be. Here it is, Chris Lopez in third, and then Christopher Neal down here in the 9th slot, and then Cody in 13. 3 Ice Lightning decks make the top 16. I love to see it. Love to see it. You know me and Lightning. Love it. It's my favorite element. Mohammed remembers the days of me running mono lightning back when you actually could. Steven Arboleta and I. He was better at it then. I was much less experienced. But yeah, so Cindy and Cactuar are 2 cards that I've signed. It's very weird. I've also sat across from people at tournaments that are like, I learned how to play this game from you. I'm nervous. And I'm like, why are you nervous? And I'm like, because I learned how to play this game from your videos. I'm like, so? Like, you're probably going to beat me too. You'll be trying to play your summon deck in Ottawa. Chris Neal was 7-0 with it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was. And it's one of my favorite decks. Like, if I could do Mono Lightning, I would, but you just can't right now. Ice Lightning is super cool. So let me show you some stuff. So this was... We'll go to the full cam for a minute. Here is the full art Tyro for participating. So if you head on to an event, you can expect to get one of those beautiful babies, right? One of those beautiful, beautiful babies. Full art foil Tyro. If you make top 32, there is unannounced prizing. People know about it now, so I'm not spoiling any secrets or anything. But Rochelle kind of felt like, hey, those cards that we had back in 2020 or whatever, when shit got canceled, really should do something with. So there is additional prizing that I don't think is listed on the site, the FFTCG site. But if you come in top 32 or higher, you will get additional prizes. One of them being the full art Road to the World Championship Chelenka. So since I came in 21st, that is in the top 32, if my math is correct. You get one of those. Beautiful card, beautiful card. Then you also, if you make the top 32, you get the sleeves that never made it out because of the COVID as well. The Black Mage local qualifiers sleeves. So I got a full pack of these bad boys. So I did get some additional prizing for coming in top 32. So I felt good about my performance. I realized I could have been 6-1 if I, didn't, go ahead and stab myself in the soiree matchup. So it's feeling real good. Being 5 spaces out of the top cut of a major, I'll take it for the first time out. And then I also got Lockwood hooked me up with these, and I think these were just like kind of Square Enix had some stuff laying around that wasn't released, so they kind of just like are giving certain things to stores, just saying, hey, if you got somebody being cool, helping out or whatever, maybe toss them a little something. And Lockwood was gracious enough to toss me these bad boys. I love Maya. That's such a great card. So additional prizing, that's cool. That was cool. Day 2, I didn't make top 16, so I'm going to take part in the side events. And I do draft, and I come in second in my pod, I think. Second or third, whatever it was. I was not first. I went 2-1, and I was either second or third. The difference was 1 pack, so I honestly don't remember. We'll say second because it sounds better. But I went 2-1 in my draft pod. And then they ran the Haven. Haven had like all kinds of side events too, by the way, which were fantastically running too. Haven Games just had a bunch. They had draft. They did a title tournament. Those were both simultaneous, so I chose to do draft because I didn't bring a title deck. Or I would have chosen title. And then they ran another Swiss event with no top cut. It was just a Swiss event. There were like 29 or 30 people there, so it ended up being 5 rounds. And I went 4-1 and took second there. So for taking second in that, I got a second Tyro. I think they gave Tyros to the top 4 of that event. And if you won your pod, you got a Tyro too. So I could have walked out with a playset, but I didn't because I came in second. So 4-1, which means if you look at my total weekend performance, I went 11-4 against the stackest of stacked competition in North America. I'm pumped. I am ready. Will I make Nats? I don't know. I hope so. You know, I think I'm good enough to. I told you, I think I'm a better than average player. We'll see. Every Materia Cup is... Oh, yeah, all the Materia Cups are going to be stacked. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Then when I saw Matthew Okamoto's deck, I was like, man, I read the shit out of this room. I'm so happy. So I just felt good about being an FFTCG player, hanging out with everybody. Amethyst taking her ninja deck to the top 16, by the way, was baller. That was so cool. Brendan Bestard with the Ultros deck. That was really cool. I know there's a local Crayon who is just all going to be all over that. And he's been messing with Ultros forever. So seeing Brandon Bestard take Ultros into the top 16 and then actually into the top 8 was really cool to watch. So yeah, there was some fun stuff there. Glaciella and Tyro, how much? A shame I'm not coming to Canada's store champs. I mean, I have my passport. Give you some Marsh promos for it. So Glaciella was the top 16, I think. And Tyro. I saw somebody trying to sell Tyro on the Facebook page for 75 or 100. Somebody trying to. Top 16, yeah. Oh yeah, thanks, Lockwood. So I haven't seen anybody trying to sell Glaciella yet, but I have seen people already trying to sell Tyro. Don't buy them right now. If you want one, fine. Go ahead and buy one if you can't make an event, but do it at the end of the season. They're going to be part of just participation all over the place. Just wait. You don't need them right now. Don't pay $100 for them. Unless you're a friend of mine that was selling it for the $100, then by all means pay the friend of mine. I don't remember who's selling it. And I probably just shot their sale. And these have nothing to do with the tournament itself, but I do want to show them off. I've put pictures of them on stream. There is my Yuffie rated at 10 gem mint, followed by Cloud at 10 gem mint too. I have never personally rated cards. It's not really my gig. I love collecting, and we still have to do a stream where we go through a bunch of collection stuff. But I felt like I should get these. I sent them to get sealed more than to get rated, but when they both came back 10 gen mint, I was pretty happy. The funny thing about these is I have literally pulled both of these. I did not buy them off of somebody or anything else. And ironically, I didn't buy more than I normally buy. Typically, when a set comes out, to make sure my collection binders of a foil and non-foil copy of everything never played makes it to the binders, and then having enough cards so that me, my wife, and my kids that play, so that we can make whatever deck we want, we don't have to worry about it. I buy anywhere between 8 and 10 booster boxes per set. There have been occasions where I buy 1 or 2 extra. There have been occasions where, the set wasn't all that, like Opus 4, I probably bought 6, stuff like that. So I got Yuffie. I bought a half case at Robinson Township's Four Horsemen, one of the places we have locals at. It's where we'll have locals live on the stream on Monday. And, pulled Yuffie from the first booster box. And I had bought some booster boxes locally when From Nightmares came out. But then somebody that I know online was like, hey, I got a half case left. Does anybody want it? And they knocked a couple of bucks off of it and everything. And I was like, that's a good rate. I hadn't bought a sealed half case. I just did like 2 boxes at this store, 2 boxes at this store. Again, because I try to spread the money around to the local stores to support all of them as much as I can. But the price was too good, and I was like, yeah, send the box to me. So the box came from Virginia, and I'm opening it here at my desk, and I end up with all 3 legacy full arts in this half case, this 6 booster box case. And I'm like, well, there's no way a cloud is in here. Like, if there was a cloud in this master case, it's in the other half case because this half case had all 3 legacy full arts. 5th booster box opened up a cloud. I don't expect that luck to hold. I mean, it'd be great if it did, but I might be one of the few people in the world that legitimately did not overbuy or over-open in any way and legitimately opened both of these guys and then got them both rated at PSA Gem Mint 10. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. What an event, man. What a weekend. Felt good. And next weekend, we've got another chance to qualify for Nats in Erie with the top 2 going from that store championship. Then we'll be in Ohio. Then we'll be in North Carolina. Then we'll be in Michigan. Then we'll be in West Virginia. I mean, it's top-tier competition there. You want to make Nats, you got to beat some players, man. That's for sure. Did I buy a lottery ticket? I did not. I'm trying to save the luck for Astinia next set, so don't want to. Yeah, Ohio's much later in the season. So is West Virginia. The next one is next weekend in Erie. That's the next one that I'll be at. And it should be interesting competition. Like, obviously, there's good Pittsburgh players. There's good Erie players. I'm sure some of the Ohio crew is going to be there. I mean, Muhammad's going to be there. I'm sure some of the West Virginia folks are coming up. It's going to be a tough room. You know, when you got to come in top 2, there's not a lot of room for error. There just isn't. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, it is a long drive for you guys. It's like 4 hours. 3.5, 4 hours. That's no worse than me driving to Gamers Heaven and in Phoenixville and running an 8-hour tournament and then driving back. 6 for you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought that was Jeremy that said that. Yeah, for you, I'm amazed you're going. Not surprised to see you in Ohio and West Virginia. Surprised to see you in Erie or Michigan. That's for sure. But I hope you like the stream. I hope you like hanging out. Check out that artwork one more time. Let me show that artwork. Look at that. This is for, we do our Final Fantasy TCG local live streams. And that has its own like overlay and stuff like this. But we had some art spun up for when we do these types of things. We can do our Final Fantasy TCG Linkshell and Let's Chat. They're always fun. Oh, thank you so much. You drove 9 hours to make it to Gold Coast Materia Cup. I would drive 9 hours I have. In fact, for North Carolina, I'm going to drive 10.5 for a Materia Cup. I'm amazed he's driving 6 for a store championship. By the way, I haven't done anything with this yet, but just before this stream went up, a new Twitter account was created called FFTCG Linkshell. You're not going to see anything there yet, but if you want to be some of the first, go give it a follow on Twitter. FFTCG Linkshell, because we're going to do some fun stuff under that branding here at Ready Check Radio. So I have never been able to get whoever has the FFTCG NA Twitter account to actually log into Twitter. I've been trying to get that account from them since they haven't used it in 5 or 6 years. Twitter will be no help there because even if they just log into Twitter and don't do anything, it's not considered dead. So we're going to go ahead and just go our own way now. So on Twitter, FFTCG Linkshell, go ahead and give it a follow. You won't even see a profile picture there yet. I literally just spun it up before the stream today. So you'll be among the first to see some fun stuff when we do Let's Chats and stuff like that. And, of course, the local gameplay every Monday night, which you'll probably see me running Ice Lightning in preparation for, I don't know, a tournament somewhere. Love you all. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hope you had a great time. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. See you Monday.